Hey everyone, so today we're going to be putting extenders on this Rovan Baja. Now, this video was supposed to come out about a week ago, but when I ordered these extenders from Rovan, I can't put the blame anywhere. The post office may have opened up the package to make sure there's nothing bad in it and accidentally, left parts out. Rovan may have forgotten to put the parts in the bag. I really cannot place the blame on anybody, so I'm not going to. But I got the rear extenders put on, and I'll run through this real quick. Whoa, hello. On the just one back wheel, just to show y'all the process. They're already on, but we'll run through the process real quick just to show y'all who are interested in doing something like this. I gotta go grab my stock hubs from the rear first so that I can show you what comes off. Should have had this done before starting the camera, but oh well. Alright, is that all of my tools? Alright, give me just a minute. Let me go grab these stock hubs and I'll be right back. Actually, I don't need the stock hubs, because those are in my box. I need my front hubs. So these right here are your stock rear hubs. Real simple design. I'll show you how to get everything off. We're not even going to bother taking the wheel off because, well, you know what? Screw it. Let's take the wheel off. If I can get it off. There we go. So first things first, you're going to undo this wheel nut here. Now, these shouldn't be too tight, but they might be. So you can just you can take this off, but don't take the rear wheel off yet. We'll get to that a little later on. I would also advise grabbing you a little bottle of blue thread lock. So now we're going to find us a wrench that fits inside here. And you've got a little Allen screw in there. Allen bolt, Allen screw. That says 3. So we're going to go with 3. You're going to take this, and you're going to loosen off that little bolt. You don't even have to, well, I don't know. You might not even have to take it all the way out. Once you loosen it up, take your wheel off, and you've got a pin that goes through this hub. This one's already partially out. I'm just going to grab it. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to use one of these. I'm going to push that pin out. That's your little pin right there. With that off, your whole hub comes out. It's the same way for the stock ones, okay? Now to put it back on, while you're back in here, it's a good idea to check on your bearings, make sure everything's good and free and you don't have a lot of play. And I don't. So the kit should come with new. I didn't get them. They still didn't send me the new ones. But they did send me the screws and hardware for the front, which is all I need. You can reuse these old ones as long as they're not beat up. You want to get these little holes lined up. You want to drop that pin in and just hold your finger under it right there so it doesn't fall out. And you're going to take your screwdriver, your hex driver, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to tighten this bolt up. Now, again, I would advise using some blue Loctite, so we're actually going to take this off and put some blue Loctite on the threads real quick. And this is almost empty. It's also a good idea to clean your threads real quick as well, just to make sure that the thread lock sticks. Make sure there's just no oil or grease or any nastiness on it, right? Should be good. I'm going to put a thin little dab of blue thread lock on there. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to smear this stuff with your fingers or not. I do, but you probably don't have to. I just do it just to make sure it's down in the threads and everything. And we're going to slip this back in here. Find the hole. Screw it in. And tighten it down. Now, you don't have to go real tight. As a matter of fact, it's probably best that you don't, because you do not want to bend these pins. These screws bear directly on that pin to hold it in. You do not want to put a lot of force in. You will bend that pin in there, and then you're going to have a hell of a time getting it out. So don't put a whole crap ton of force. Just snug it down nice and snug until it stops, and then give it a little bit of a twist, and you should be good. this pin is hanging out just a little bit. If you want to add a little more protection from that pin right there falling out, you can grab you some shrink wrap, large shrink wrap tubes, and you can heat some shrink wrap around this, and it'll hold that pin in. Even if that screw right there comes out, that pin will not. If you've got shrink wrap or the little sliver of duct tape, I've seen people use zip ties just to make sure that pin don't fall out if you lose that bolt. All right. But that's how you do the rear. Very simple. When you're not sitting there talking, explaining it to somebody, it's a 5-minute job, if that. Actually, it's been 5 minutes now, and I've been explaining it to you. So it's probably more like a minute-long job with the right tools and the right know-how. It is very easy, and you just do that same exact thing on both sides. The front, well, the fronts are a little more complicated. We'll get to those, but right now I'm going to take this bolt out over here and thread lock it. Put a bit of thread lock on it real quick, just to be on the safe side. A little bit of extra time to take care of issues saves you a lot of hassle in the long run. I'm actually out of thread lock, guys. There we go. It's a little bit. Takes 30 extra seconds to put thread lock on a screw so it don't back out. And just that little bit of extra. See, I almost screwed up there. If I wouldn't have reached back here and felt, that pin actually slid out. So I'm glad I reached back here and felt to make sure that it was still in. It had actually fallen out. So again, we're going to just kind of give it just a little bit of a torque. Not much, and there we go. We are done with the rear extenders. So now, as I said, these front ones here, they are a little more complicated because they have a C-clip on them and they have a steering hub in the way, and it's just a little more difficult dealing with these front pins. So we're only going to do one side for you. I'll do the other side off camera, but just doing one side, they're both an exact mirror of each other. Once you know how to do one, you know how to do both. Alright? Very simple. Where is my Allen wrench? Because in order to get into here, you have to back off these top nuts. And I'll explain why here in a minute. You have a bolt inside of your carrier here. And these top bolts actually poke through the top here. Can't really show it to you too well. I'll try spinning it around so you can see. So you've got a nut right here, okay, and then you've got a bolt that runs through like this. Well, that bolt hangs down, and with that bolt hanging out down there, you can't get this tool over the top of that bolt or over the top of that nut. See? So we want to back this top nut out just a little bit. Might even be easier to take apart the entire assembly here, but we're not going to because I like doing things the complicated, time-consuming way. You do not have to take this bolt all the way out, but I'm going to, just to get this to kind of fold down so that we can get a better angle at it, all right? This is not a very hard process. I actually had all this apart the first time I was shooting this video a week ago before I realized that I was missing parts, all right? So we're just going to keep unscrewing this. So that I have a little bit of a talking point here, I'm going to explain to y'all what these wheel extenders do and give y'all a bit of a warning on them, okay? So what they do is pretty self-explanatory. They widen out the track width of your truck, making it harder to roll. These 1-inch extenders, ½ inch on each side, 1 inch overall, these partnered with sway bars and, you know, lowering your ride height a bit, just letting it sit flat will make a world of difference in your handling. I mean, night and day, almost unrecognizable from what I've been told. So we're going to take this little tool here and I'm going to put it Right there on top of that bolt, you've got a nut in there. I'm sorry if you can't see very well. I'll try to get you a good little view of it. There's a nut right in there. Now take this tool, put it on top of here. Carefully kind of hang the front end out over your workbench so that you can get to the bottom. And you've got a bolt on the bottom of your A-arm down here. I'm actually going to take this wheel off to make it a little easier on us, all right? There we go. And just make it easier to see and to work on things. I'll actually bring it back up here. Y'all will be able to see that bolt, that nut a little better now. So you'll see that nut in there up top, right here. That's why we had to take that top screw out, because it hangs down and you can't get that wrench on top of it. So we are going to put that wrench on top of there. Just going to lift this up. Whoops! Drop my tools. Butterfingers. There we go. And we're going to take out this screw right here that's on the bottom. And that's all there is to it. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. It's all just Lego. Alright? Okay. So, a warning about using hub extenders. This is probably common sense to people who understand physics, but some people may not give it this much thought. When you are using hub extenders, and I'll give you an example here in a minute. When you're using hub extenders, you are going to put more strain on your bearings. Front bearings, rear bearings, you're going to put more stress on them, and they are going to wear out quicker. Now, I don't know the numbers. I don't know all of the details on it, so I can't tell you, how much longer they'll last or how much sooner they'll go out. But it will put more stress on your bearings, and I'm going to explain to you why here. When you take this bolt out, you have a cone right there. Make sure not to lose that, or you're going to have a heck of a lot of slop. All right, our deal is off. Before I get into the rest of this, let me explain this to you guys. So if you want to take a stick right now and put it in your hand like this, and you want to push on the end of it, you feel how hard it is to keep that from moving? Now take your finger and put it here and do the same. And feel how much easier it is to keep it from moving. You're putting your bearings under that exact same stress. You've got a bearing and you've got a rod that hangs through that bearing. When you're pushing on the end, you're putting more strain on that bearing than when you're pushing here. All right? So when you use hub extenders, you're moving your wheel out, which is putting more stress through your bearings. And also all of your other things here, like your plastic hub carriers and stuff. So just keep that in mind. Hub carriers or your extenders are good. They make your truck more stable. They make it less likely to roll. They make it handle better. But they will put more strain on your bearings and the plastic pieces that the bearings are in. All right, so keep that in mind. I don't know a better way to explain that. I'm not a physics expert, but it is 100% true that when your pressure point gets further away, you put more stress through the things that are holding on to that little rod in there. So just keep that in mind if you're going to use hub extenders. You may be replacing your bearings a little more often. Now inside of here, right in here, you've got a C-clip or an E-clip or whatever you want to call it. I use a knife. Y'all are going to use one. Be careful. Don't use it without adult supervision. But we're just going to stick that in there. And we're going to pop this little C-clip out, okay? There we go. It's out. Well, it's undone. I still got to get it out. There we go. C-clip is out. And your hub slides right on out of there. Now, this is your bag of hardware. There should have also been 2 pins that come with this to replace the stock rears, but with mine there wasn't. Of course, I didn't tell Rovan that I needed those parts. I just said I needed the hardware for the front. So, the way this works is these little black pieces key in to your slots on your little extenders. You see the slots where they key into? And then your bolts come in through the inside and hold it together. So, stock bearings, everything like that, they're still in. We're just going to take this. We're going to kind of run it through. Now, when I did that, it popped out my stock inner bearing. It popped it out a little bit. So we're going to take the back of our screwdriver here and just kind of push it back in. I don't know if you can hear it click or not. Your bearing is back in. Now we take these. We are going to line it up so that the keys fall into place. Just kind of spin either your little piece here or your deal on the inside. Doesn't really much matter. Or your deal on the outside. There we go. Now we are locked into place. We're going to take this screw. I am just about out of thread lock, sadly, so yeah, I am totally out of thread lock. So guys, you always want to use thread lock with this. I'm not going to. If you see a future video where one of the front wheels fall off, that's why. So we're going to line up our hole in here. I'm sorry that y'all can't see it very well. There we go. Our hole is lined up. And we're just going to thread that screw on in. And tighten her down. Now, if you have trouble holding on to this hex here, just put your wheel back on, bring your fingers through like that. Makes it a lot easier to tighten it down. There we go. We are on. It is literally that simple, guys. It's a very simple process to install these. Again, it's all just Lego. It is so simple. Alright. So we're going to throw all this back together. I'm going to do the other side and hopefully show y'all some before and after shots. Sadly, I think I deleted the pictures, but I should still have the before and after, or at least the before putting them on the fronts. Alright. The backs are going to look a little wider in the picture I have because they've already been installed, but in that same picture, the fronts are what you need to pay attention to, all right? Yeah, I think I deleted the pictures that I had of the rear. If I didn't, they'll be in the video. But I'm going to throw all this together, do the other side, and then I'll show y'all some pictures. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching. All right, I forgot to mention this in the video, so I got to do it now. But I forgot to mention the excellent customer service that Rovan provided me with. So yes, I was missing parts when these wheel extenders got in, and I did email Rovan about it that night. The next day they got with me and they said they are terribly sorry for the inconvenience and they will get those parts to me ASAP. I think it was 4 days, not including the weekend, because U.S. Postal Service doesn't run on the weekends. But 4 days in total, I got my parts and got all the hardware I needed and everything, except for the rear pins. But I didn't tell Rovan that I needed the rear pins, so they didn't send them, I guess. But yeah, so just excellent customer service on Rovan's part. No extra charge to me. They sent me the parts I needed, so yeah, big shout out to them.